I'd been married for 8 years, together for 11. On paper, everything looked solid: shared routines, inside jokes, a mortgage that scared us into teamwork. Lately, though, something felt off in a way I couldn't quite name. She'd snap over nothing, roll her eyes when I asked simple questions, accuse me of being controlling if I wondered where she was going. Her phone became an extension of her hand, screen always tilted away, notifications mysteriously silent. I told myself it was stress, work, maybe I was just paranoid. But there's a moment when your gut stops whispering and starts yelling. That's where this began. The first real crack showed up on a random Tuesday. She said she was working late, but her tone was wrong, too rehearsed, too sharp when I asked what project it was. When she got home, she smelled different, like a cologne I don't own. I mentioned it casually, and she laughed in my face, called me ridiculous, said I was inventing problems because I'm bored. An hour later, she picked a fight over dishes, stormed off, and slept on the couch with her phone under her pillow. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, realizing this wasn't stress anymore. This was distance, deliberate and hostile. Things escalated fast after that. She started guarding her schedule like it was classified, leaving the house for errands that took hours, suddenly caring a lot about her appearance for someone who barely looked at me anymore. One night her phone buzzed while she was in the shower. I didn't even mean to look, I swear that, but I saw a name I didn't recognize followed by a heart emoji. My chest went cold. When I asked her who it was, she didn't miss a beat. Said it was a coworker, said I was being creepy for even noticing, said I needed therapy. The confidence of the lie almost worked. Almost. The real discovery hit me like a slap. I was using our laptop to print something when her email popped up. She'd forgotten to log out. I froze, stared, then clicked. There it was, threads of messages, jokes that weren't meant for me, plans written like secrets. Hotel confirmations. Photos I'd never seen. My hands were shaking so bad I had to sit on the floor. In that moment, time did this weird thing where everything slowed down and sped up at once. Every excuse she'd thrown at me lined up perfectly. I wasn't paranoid. I was late. I confronted her that night. No planning, no calm speech, just the laptop open on the table like a bomb between us. She went pale for half a second, then immediately flipped it on me. Said I invaded her privacy. Said those emails were taken out of context. When I pointed at the hotel dates, she laughed, actually laughed, and said I was dramatic. Then she switched tactics and cried, said she felt lonely, said I'd been emotionally unavailable. Watching her cycle through anger, denial, and self-pity in minutes was surreal. I barely recognized the woman I married. The aftermath was chaos. She stormed out, came back an hour later like nothing happened, then exploded again when I didn't engage. I felt hollow, like someone scooped me out and left the shell standing. Anger would spike out of nowhere, my hands clenched, jaw tight, then collapse into this heavy sadness that made it hard to breathe. I replayed years of memories, wondering which ones were real and which were already tainted. She slept peacefully that night. I didn't sleep at all. I just lay there, realizing the life I thought I had was already over, even if the marriage technically wasn't. Over the next few days, the lies got sloppier. She claimed the affair had already ended, then forgot she said that and admitted she'd seen him one last time after I found out. She blamed stress, blamed me, blamed the universe. At one point she swore nothing physical had happened, then snapped when I reminded her of the photos. Her attitude turned cruel, like my pain annoyed her. She called me weak for being upset, told me to man up, then asked if we could still go to a family event together so she wouldn't look bad. That's when something inside me finally cracked. I walked out in the middle of one of her rants. Just grabbed my keys and left, heart pounding like I was doing something illegal. I sat in my car for an hour, hands on the wheel, realizing I didn't want to go back inside that house. When I finally did, she was suddenly calm, almost cheerful, acting like we'd just had a normal argument. She asked what I wanted for dinner. That whiplash messed with my head more than the yelling. It hit me then how easily she could switch masks, and how little my feelings factored into any of it. I started telling people, and the truth came out faster than I expected. A mutual friend admitted she'd suspected something for months. Her sister called me crying, apologizing for not knowing how to tell me. Piece by piece, the affair grew bigger than the version she'd fed me. When I confronted her again with what I'd learned, she shrugged and said everyone exaggerates. Said I should stop airing dirty laundry. That was the moment I stopped arguing. I wasn't trying to understand anymore. I was trying to survive. I started telling people, and the truth came out faster than I expected. A mutual friend admitted she'd suspected something for months. Her sister called me crying, apologizing for not knowing how to tell me. Piece by piece, the affair grew bigger than the version she'd fed me. When I confronted her again with what I'd learned, she shrugged and said everyone exaggerates. Said I should stop airing dirty laundry. That was the moment I stopped arguing. I wasn't trying to understand anymore. I was trying to survive. Being away from her changed things fast. The constant tension drained out of me, and the fog in my head started to lift. I still woke up angry, still had moments where my chest tightened for no reason, but I wasn't bracing for the next insult or lie. She bombarded my phone with messages, apologies mixed with accusations, promises followed by threats. One minute she wanted to fix everything, the next she said I was overreacting and she'd done nothing wrong. Seeing it all laid out like that made it obvious, this wasn't confusion. It was manipulation. I agreed to meet her once, in public, thinking maybe closure was possible. She showed up late, dressed like it was a date, and spent most of the time talking about how hard this was for her. When I asked if she was still seeing him, she hesitated just long enough to answer the question without really answering it. I realized then I wasn't waiting for an apology anymore. I was waiting for permission to leave. I didn't need either. I paid for my coffee, stood up, and walked away while she was still talking. After that, the decision settled in quietly. No dramatic announcement, no final fight. I called a lawyer, changed a few passwords, started separating things that had once been ours. Each small step hurt, but it also felt honest. She reacted exactly how you'd expect, sudden sweetness, followed by rage, followed by silence meant to punish me. None of it worked anymore. I wasn't numb, I was done. The betrayal didn't define me, but staying would have. Acceptance didn't arrive like peace, it arrived like exhaustion. I stopped replaying arguments in my head. I stopped checking my phone, hoping for a message that would somehow make it all make sense. The sadness was still there, but it was quieter, manageable. I started noticing small things again, sleeping through the night, laughing without forcing it, feeling like my thoughts belonged to me. For the first time since all of this began, I wasn't reacting to her. I was just living, and that felt strange but right. Looking back, the hardest lesson was understanding that love doesn't survive contempt and lies. Trust isn't something you negotiate after it's broken, it either exists or it doesn't. If there's anything I'd say to someone standing where I was, it's this: pay attention to your gut, and don't confuse endurance with strength. Walking away wasn't giving up, it was choosing not to disappear inside someone else's choices. I don't know exactly what comes next, but I know it'll be honest. That's enough for now.